can you believe that they used to let us drive those killing machines?
Welcome to King Moves. In chess, the king moves one step at a time, but that single move can change everything. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and simple actions that could lead to the next breakthrough in your business and life. I'm your co-host, Ethan King, from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa. Entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures as we think out loud, challenge assumptions, and uncover the small moves that create big momentum. Welcome to King Moves. Let's start the conversation.
So Justin, on a previous episode, we talked about how AI is making it easier for us to do things in our lives, making us a little bit softer, making things more convenient for us, and sometimes taking the hard road. And it made me think about two recent conversations. Well, one conversation and then something I read on LinkedIn. So, and I want to tell you about both of them because they there's a contrast between them, and you'll see what I mean. So recently I was talking to a young lady who is a senior in high school, very smart young lady, and I just met her, and she said, and I was asking her about AI, of course, because that's what I talk about. And she said she avoids AI. She does not use it at all. And she's very intentional about not using AI because she doesn't want to even feel like she's slightly cheating. And even though she's aware that she can use it to help her learn and she doesn't have to just copy from AI, she doesn't want to even feel in the slightest like she's cheating or to be tempted to cheat. Reason one. And reason two is because she cares about the environment and the energy consumption of AI. So I thought that was interesting because I immediately thought to myself, man, why are you making it hard on yourself than you need to? But then I also kind of appreciated her viewpoint as well. And I want to hear your thoughts. But before I hear your thoughts on that, in contrast, I just read I think it was a LinkedIn post by my buddy David Cummings, very successful entrepreneur here in Atlanta. In fact, he's been responsible for a big part of the tech scene blowing up over the past couple of decades in Atlanta. And he reported that he looked at the mileage on his Tesla, and he did over 90%. I think he said 95% self-driving on his Tesla over the past year. And so he said maybe did he say 95 or 98%? I have to look it up, or you can go look it up, David Cummings. But the fact that he only touched his steering wheel 2 to 5% of the time out of a whole year. And aside from that, you just get in, you push a button to where you're going, and the car completely drives itself and parks. It'll back into a parking spot. It'll back into your garage, park itself, like from start to finish. We are here. We're in the future. And he's like, any car I buy going forward will have to have this capability. There's no going backward. In fact, he compared it to going from flip phones to the iPhone. If you have a flip phone and then you go get an iPhone, you're never going back to that flip phone. So those are kind of two very contrasting stances on leveraging AI and technology. And I would love to hear your thoughts on those.
I suppose the answer is, or my thoughts when I say the answer, it's not like I have the answer, but it's everything in moderation to a degree. So to go back to the first example of the student, she's shooting herself in the foot ultimately there. Like that is the reality. So there's something very noble about going all in on the stance of not using AI at all. But I mean, you and I have spoken about it. We said it before. When it's here, it's not going away. It's only going to proliferate. There's going to be more use cases for it in our lives, particularly if you're younger. Like that is going to be your future. Is going to be how do you harness, leverage, direct, communicate with AI. Like that is the future. Having said that, there's I completely respect choosing certain areas where you're saying, hey, you know what, I'm not going to use it for this or for this period of time because I want to flex that muscle. I want to hone that skill. And we've spoken about the GPS, or it might be, it's even the same as there are occasions where I've got a bill from a meal and I can either pull out my calculator to work out the tip and whatever it's going to be, or I can say, you know what, right now I need to flex my own brain muscles, and I want to work this out myself. And I'll stand there. It probably takes me longer than it should, and I'll figure out what that's going to be. So that's opting to lean into a bit of discomfort and not use technology just to do the thing for me. So I think again that in that case, she needs to choose, where is this helping me build a skill that is useful for me in long term versus where is this softening that ability of mine in the long term. Right now, the skill that she needs to build would be how to lean into, hey, that is the truth. But then in small areas, she can choose, is there a net positive or a net negative for that thing? And how can I then train it? It's the same as in our jobs today, because we went from a world where we were physically active in the work that we did to now being knowledge workers. And this is changing again, but knowledge work means that we sit in chairs most of the day, meaning that there's been an absolute explosion in gyms, because you now have to go and intentionally, and a gym is maybe a good example. You have to go and intentionally lean into that discomfort that the technological advancement has removed from the day-to-day of our lives. We don't have to go and grow our own food every single day and kind of tend to the field and then harvest your crop and all of that. Same as hunters. They used to go hunting long distances, carry their food home. We just go to the supermarket and open the door. So yeah, gym, sports, that's all of us leaning into a little bit of discomfort for. Absolutely. And then on the flip side, the example of the gent who used his self-drive feature on his car 98% of the time or whatever it was, is what I suppose the question is, just step back and say, I mean, it's amazing. Let's go. Amazing from an efficiency point of view. Amazing that our technology has got, I mean, even though we know it's happening, when you articulate and you say it out loud like that, I still go, insane. To consider that a car has driven itself past thousands of other cars, has not collided, got you to your destination, and self-parked. Like, what a world we live in. But there's so many net positives to that from an efficiency point of view. But I think we're living in a world where if efficiency is the ultimate goal, that freaks me out a little bit, because
but wait, here's the thing.
What cuts?
It's all, but the thing is, and here's the biggest catch, is it's also statistically safer. The self-driving cars are safer. Yeah. So now that's an added wrinkle. It's not just you're being lazy. In fact, I'm wrestling with this now because my daughter is about to turn 16, which is the age you get your driver's license here. And we're trying to figure out what to do as far as a vehicle for her. And I'm wrestling with, do I even want her to really drive? Would it be more responsible of me as a parent to get her a self-driving car that, so she can be safer in the car? But then at the same time, I'm like, no, she needs to know how to drive. People need to know how to drive. They need, like, if something happens, I need her to take over.
Do they need
it? I don't know.
Do you need to know how to drive? Yeah.
I do that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the truth. I think not even, I was going to say 10 years time, probably not even. People are going to sit around having the conversation saying, can you believe that they used to let us drive those killing machines? Because that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what that is just wild. They let you drive that and control that? No way.
Yeah.
No way.
They're going to think that we were barbaric. Yes, that is definitely going to happen. And what is the time frame? You see, you're lucky. Your child is young. By the time Harrison is old enough to drive, this will all be figured out. It'll be a no-brainer. Yeah. Of course. Why would he learn how to drive? Just like I fly on planes all the time. I don't need to know how to fly a plane, but I'm still comfortable just getting on one,
Sure. But yeah, this is where I was going to go. So what does it mean to live in a world or a city? So right now, if you have to think about your city that you live in, if you think about your suburbs outside of that, the extended city outside of the city, you've got a mental map of that, right? You've got a mental map of where you are, what direction you would have to go in, what that looks like. You paint an interesting picture of the world that you live in.
Mm-hmm.
Now think about it when you've traveled and you've only ever used an Uber in your destination in the cities that you've been to. can you paint a picture of the hotel, the suburb, the broad? You have no idea where you are. Like, so if you live in a world where you've only got self-driving cars, and if you've only got self-driving cars, I don't know, you probably got self-driving bicycles then. I don't even know, maybe you still pedal, but you don't have to worry about where you're going. So, so you know what I'm saying? Or the same with
Yeah.
an airplane. You jump in an airplane, and other than taking off from the runway, can you tell me exactly the route that an airplane generally takes to get to your final day? More or less, probably, because you got to fly in that. I've got to fly east. But
Yeah.
it's a weird concept for me to not be able to picture the
You're
world that I
surrounded,
live in,
like,
to almost
have an
zoom
idea.
myself out.
Yeah.
Exactly, like this bird's eye view and that would be gone.
I think that for people like me and you who have that curiosity, but like that geographical awareness, that spatial
Yeah,
awareness is important. And like, I actually do sometimes watch on the plane, the go on the flight
yeah,
tracker, and I watch the path of the plane, and I know the path, so I kind of see it. I get something. I find that rewarding to know where I am in space, and even when I land, I at least know where my hotel is in relation to the airport. Because I'll see it on the
mhm,
Uber map or whatever, and I kind of will look around and say, "Oh, okay, I get it." I kind of see a little bit of a lay of the land, but outside of where I'm going to be, like airport, hotel, the area that I'm going to be in, I don't really think about my geography beyond that. I mean, I was just in
mhm,
Dublin, and that's all I know is airport to hotel, and then the things that were in the walking distance around my hotel and the convention center. Outside of that, dude, honestly, if you showed me the shape of Ireland and asked me to put a pin where Dublin is, I don't know,
yeah,
somewhere I could throw a dart. It might be right.
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe there's nothing to it. So maybe it's like a throwaway comment that I'm making. But to me, those are some of the small things that we lose. And I don't know, is there a net loss to that, or does it just actually not matter?
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
think
It
won't
matters.
matter. To you, it matters. To me, it matters. I think one day it won't matter. Like maybe to your son, it won't matter, or to your grandson, it
Yeah.
won't matter. Whether you're in Dublin or in Atlanta, for all they care, they could be right next to each other. Cape Town could be right. It doesn't matter if you can get
Correct.
anywhere, especially by then. Let's say you can travel to places, because I saw somewhere that they're now working on these ships that can get you like from New York to London in 1 hour. Have you seen that? They're
No.
supposed to like shoot up into space and then come down and can get you from New York to London in an hour. And I
What?
haven't looked into it, but I'm like, wow, that's mind boggling. So if that's true, and you could be anywhere in the world, say in an hour or two, then why does it matter where it is? It's just, what it's hard to get your head around that. But I think
It
future
is.
generations maybe won't care as much. I don't know. Food for thought.
Food for thought, indeed. Food for fatherhood. That's what it is.
Speaking of
But
planes, we got to land this plane. So what is our king move for this episode, where I guess we're talking about, again, like being too dependent on technology and not being dependent enough on technology? I think it's dangerous on either side. So my king move would be to learn it, leverage it, use technology, but also know how to do things on your own. Know how to use your brain, but also know how to use the technology to your advantage, so you're not a Luddite, so that you don't
mm,
get left behind. Don't reject it, and lean in when you need to. And sometimes it's hard to know if you're too far on the cutting edge, if you're too much of an early adopter or not. I think that's the line that I'm facing right now when it comes to having a teenager right now as we enter this self-driving era. Then, what do you do? What do I do right now at this point in time? I don't have the
yeah.
answer yet, but I'll have to report back in a much later episode.
So my king move is going to be a little bit more cryptic, and I'll leave it up to the listeners. But I think we live in a world where just because you can doesn't mean you should. And you get to choose. You can choose how you're wanting to apply that, but just because you can doesn't mean you should.
That's a wrap for today's episode of King Moves. Quick favor before we go. If this episode made you think differently or helped you see your next move more clearly, take 30 seconds and leave us a review. It helps the show reach leaders who need these conversations. Remember, in chess, like in business, one right move can change everything.
Take today's action step make your move, and build momentum. And if you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready for the next breakthrough. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our weekly conversations.
Until next time.